Everyone who has touched Linda's life formed part of her story. Each of us will have our own stories to tell, memories of her that we will hold close to our hearts. It is my honor to share with you her story. Linda was born to John and Margaret, also known as Peggy Kozicki, on August 27, 1949, in Vermilion, Alberta. She was the fourth of 8 children, but was the first daughter born into the family. Being the first girl in the family, I think it's fair to say that Linda was probably quite spoiled, and she likely deserved to be spoiled having to live with 3 older brothers. But maybe the boys liked having a little sister around to look after as well. John and Peggy's family grew and grew and grew some more, with a grand total of 4 boys and 4 girls. It was actually pretty hard to find a picture of all of the kids together, but I would imagine trying to wrangle 8 children for a photograph would be like trying to herd cats. As if all those sisters and brothers weren't enough to keep Linda company, she had a wealth of cousins to play with as well, and many times all the relatives would gather together to celebrate the holidays, or even just a warm summer day. And with this many kids around, it only made sense to form a hockey team, especially to celebrate your brand new figure skates. Right from a little girl, Linda always had that precocious smile that we all know and love, as well as that little bit of trouble glimmering in her eyes. As precocious as she was, there was still work to be done, and Linda earned her reputation as a hard worker right from a young age. Whether it was getting wood from the shed with her sister Jean, including having to make a path to get to the woodshed and back, yard work, or helping Grandma Edwards with dishes, Linda was always there to lend a hand. At her job or helping family and friends, her work ethic is an attribute for which Linda would be recognized right up to her final days. Another attribute of Linda's was her love of animals. Right from a young age, Linda surrounded herself with animals, be they cats, dogs, bunnies, or birds. Whether it was because of her love of animals or because she knew how having pets would teach us responsibility, she made sure there were plenty of animals in our home when we were growing up. One of my favorite stories of Linda's when a little green budgie showed up in our lives. At the time, Mom had been working 2 jobs, and on one of her rare days off, she decided to take a rest and have a nap on the couch. She tried to fall asleep, but kept hearing a tap, tap, tap. She would stop and listen and try to figure out from where the noise was coming, when finally she realized it was coming from the living room window. She looked outside, and there on the windowsill was this little green budgie. She went outside, carefully approached the window, holding her finger out, and the little bird hopped onto her finger. And that was how chicken legs became part of the family. Mom didn't have a pet for a while after chicken legs had passed, so one year for her birthday, us kids, who were between the ages of 9 and 11, decided we wanted to get Mom a kitten to keep her company in her apartment since she wasn't allowed to have a dog. We combed the newspaper and found someone giving away kittens for free. Of course, in order to get the kitten, we needed her to drive us. And then she had to buy the food, and the litter box, and the litter. But hey, we got her a kitten. The cutest little tortoiseshell who she named Patches, and who grew up to be the most cantankerous cat you could ever imagine, but only with visitors. Because Patches loved Mom, and Mom alone. Although one would think that Patches would be enough of a handful, Mom's heart had room for more, and soon her feline family would grow to include Muffin, Sushi, and Sammy. It was around this time that Linda became known as Kitty Grandma. Trust me, this is a well-earned nickname, especially as I went through all her photo albums, and I swear there are more pictures of her cats than there ever were of us. The last pet she would have wasn't a cat, but a big old Rottweiler named Justice. Justice was actually Bill's dog, and the 2 of them lived with Mom for a while. When Bill moved out, he wasn't able to take Justice with him, and truth be told, I don't think Mom would have let Bill take him. Justice was her buddy, and she would take him everywhere. After Justice passed, she kept his ashes in a prominent place in her home. She never had another pet after him, but would dote after her grandpets or her fur nieces and nephews instead, and would often volunteer to pet sit dogs, cats, and even pot-belly pigs. She was less than keen, however, when I asked her to babysit for me, but had to warn her about our pet snake, Monty, having escaped her terrarium and was somewhere loose in the house. She did it anyway. The snake remained hidden until we returned home, and she had a pretty funny and somewhat frightening story to share with her colleagues at work. As much as she loved the fur babies, and though we questioned it sometimes, we did know that Mom loved her kid babies even more. She made a point of doing special things for us, especially during the holidays, including making Halloween costumes for us and hiding Easter goodies around the house. One of Mom's favorite holidays, if not her favorite holiday, was Christmas. She always made it so special for us kids, even when we didn't have much. Even as adults, she would surprise us by filling stockings with weird random things she found at the dollar store. But they had to have the essentials that we always remembered as kids: a mandarin orange, candy cane and other Christmas candies, and mixed nuts. Although Mom loved all three of us equally, Joanna and I knew one truth: Bill was her favorite. And what can we say? Linda loved music and he always had a flair for entertaining and making her smile. Mom was his biggest fan, especially when he started singing in karaoke contests and as a singer in a band called The Controversy that Bill formed with my now husband Terry, Bill's longtime friend Steph, and Bob and Tom just to round it out. She made a point of coming out to as many of their shows as she could and was the official band groupie. I don't know if a prouder mom exists on this planet. Despite not being her favorite, Joanna and I knew how much Mom loved us. She made a point of passing on her skills at cooking, including making cabbage rolls and pierogies, and the art of making way too much food for family dinners. She also worked hard at teaching us the art of gardening, both vegetables and flowers. When not tending her own gardens, Mom could be found at either Joanne's or my home, wrist deep in dirt, usually pulling weeds or transplanting flowers she pulled from her own garden. And we could be found telling her that she was supposed to be visiting and relaxing, not working, to which she would respond, "I just want to get this little patch done and then I'll come sit." Anyone who knows her knows how that would go. One of my favorite memories is when Joanna and I decided that we needed to go check out the Babas and Borscht Festival. We grabbed Mom and a couple of our kids and headed off to Andrew, northeast of Mundare. Before we even hit the festival, though, we went looking for mushrooms, trying to find the ever-elusive papanki that we love so much. We didn't find any that time, but we did have a lot of fun. Since Mom appreciated family so much, we made sure to give her some grandkids, and then eventually a great-grandchild, and she was always happy to come babysit or just come over to spend some time with the grandbabies, often spoiling them with one of her Peggy's Pets creations. Linda truly valued family and doing right by others. When we were growing up, there were many weekends and summer holidays spent in Sunnybrook with her mom's sister Pat, her husband Pete, and all of her cousins. Linda also spent a lot of time helping her Aunt Julie on her dad's side, who was a great source of lessons on doing things the Ukrainian way, also known as the right way. One of the best times she had in recent years was the time spent at a family reunion in Elk Point, reconnecting with her cousins on the Kozicki side. And when my mother-in-law Jackie came to visit from Ontario, the two of them became fast friends, and they made a total mess of my kitchen and had a way too much fun together. As mentioned earlier, Mom had an incredible work ethic. She did not like to sit still and was the first to lend her assistance to a multitude of tasks, whether preparing a meal for a wedding reception or some other family gathering, helping with home renovations, painting fences, or staining decks. She even got pretty good at putting siding up. And if that wasn't enough to keep her busy, she also spent a number of years volunteering with the St. Albert Kinettes, helping with the annual Rainmaker Rodeo and organizing the food and gift donations for the Christmas drive. Linda was also a terrific seamstress. She made many clothes for us, as well as some of the most awesome Halloween costumes ever. For a time, she and her sister Jean put their sewing talents together and started a venture they called Peggy's Pets, and they could be found at local craft markets selling their homemade Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls, stuffed dinosaurs, and more. To this day, her Peggy's Pets creations are treasured by her grown grandchildren. And if she did manage to sit still, then her hands had to be busy, whether it was crocheting blankets or creating a cross-stitch masterpiece. When she wasn't cooking, gardening, or crafting, Mom was spending time with her other family, her work family. As you can imagine, after 40 years with the provincial government, she made many friends over the years. And despite office transfers, promotions, departmental reorganizations, she always stayed connected with the people who contributed so much to her life. There were many times Mom would bring us to the office with her, and everyone in her office knew exactly who we were and what was going on in our lives, from the times we were kids and even as adults. So you now know how much Linda valued family, animals, hard work, and creativity. But I have a little secret to share. She also liked to have fun. Linda loved races, horse races and car races. Many times her birthday would fall on the same weekend as the Edmonton Derby, and we would make a point of taking her there for our birthday celebration. With hats, of course. There was always one bet that had to be made. $2 to win on a dapple gray horse. No matter the race, the rider, the odds. If there was a dapple gray horse, you had to place $2 to win. No more and no less. That was the bet that her mom always made on the rare occasions she would go to the horse races, much to my grandfather's dismay. The other races she enjoyed were car races, and she spent a lot of time at the racetrack, watching her brother Barry, her sister-in-law Nancy, and many other friends, old and new. Mom truly loved to have fun, to celebrate life. Her laugh and enthusiasm for life were infectious, and she could make anything fun, even ironing. But sometimes the fun times were simply hanging around the kitchen table, playing cards, Scrabble, or dice, or sitting around a fire pit laughing and talking. Linda will always be known for a number of things: her kindness, generosity, her laugh, and definitely her smile. I'm grateful she let us take so many pictures of her over the years, and we captured so many of her smiling and laughing, because that is what I remember most about her laugh and her smile, and what I will miss the most about her.